Hey everyone, this is Nick from GamersNexus.net, and I'm here to talk about episode 1 of Tales from the Borderlands called Zer0. Tales from the Borderlands is, you guessed it, based on the Borderlands franchise. It's made by Telltale Games, a company in San Francisco that specializes in adventure games, sort of point-and-click adventures that play out as episodic content releases. So this is episode 1, this is the beginning. You actually play as two characters. One is named Reese. He's a company man from Hyperion, which is a weapons manufacturer, as you know from Borderlands. So Reese is coming to Pandora because he's trying to basically overthrow his boss, the new boss who's coming to Hyperion, who replaced Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2. So that guy's name is Vasquez, and it's actually voiced by Patrick Warburton. The other character that you play as is Fiona, and she is a Pandora native. She's joined by her sister Sasha and a mentor in this episode named Felix. So Reese and Fiona have crossed paths. The game actually takes place in a series of stories that happened over the course of, will be several episodes here. Both Reese and Fiona are sort of telling their sides of the story. They actually start the game, they're captured by somebody. We don't know who it is at this point. And so they're saying, this is what happened to me. And then the other person says, well, it wasn't exactly like that. And then it shows how the other character was involved as well. So it's interesting to kind of hear their sides of the story. And you can even kind of influence how that story leads off. If you've played The Walking Dead or The Wolf Among Us, then the formula for this will be pretty similar. Tales from the Borderlands has a cinematic approach to the action scenes, and in those scenes, there are a lot of quick-time events. That's kind of your interaction with the game at that point. On the technical side, I noticed that there were a few stutters when the game was automatically saving or when I had unlocked an achievement. So a little bit of a stutter right there. It doesn't really affect things too much, but once in a while, it's kind of funny to hear the character like actually repeating their dialogue just because of that, you know, that moment of the game where it's actually saving. In general, I think that this definitely comes across as a Telltale game that happens to be written inside of a Borderlands universe. As I mentioned before, we have two protagonists who are non-violent in nature. Really, this is exploring the relationships among characters rather than killing a bunch of faceless bandits and reaping the benefits of the loot that they have around them. So Telltale has done a good job of borrowing some of the humor, some of that B-movie aesthetic, B-movie presentation with over-the-top stylized action, and that all looks good and everything, but when it comes down to it, I'm thinking of this as a Telltale game. I'm not really thinking about it so much as Borderlands. There are a couple of ways where Telltale has kind of expanded Borderlands. These elements here could actually make their way into a Borderlands game. So, for example, Reese has this ability called Echo Eye, and Echo Eye is a scanner that basically works like infrared, you know, it's or a night vision where he can detect items and it enables him to scan them for information. And a lot of the information is displayed in a way that's pretty humorous with the Borderlands way of humor. Also, as you would expect from a Telltale game, the voice acting is very strong. Yeah, you're actually going to find some characters who are from Borderlands 2, like those voice actors return. The same guy who does the voice of Zer0, who is Michael Turner, he's back. For the new characters, we have Troy Baker, who voiced Booker in BioShock Infinite, Joel in The Last of Us, many other big games he's been a part of. So he's Reese. Laura Bailey, who was Rain in Blood Rain, and who has voiced Chun-Li in some of the recent Street Fighter games, voices Fiona. Our villain for the series, the guy who is Vasquez, with his deep, authoritative, intimidating sort of voice, is Patrick Warburton. And if you don't know who that is, he's Joe from Family Guy. Kind of talks like this. So it's kind of fun seeing him making an appearance in this game as well. All right, so just some closing thoughts with Zer0. There might be some ways that Telltale can kind of elaborate on things a little bit more to kind of round things out. By that, I mean perhaps when Reese uses his Echo Eye, that actually gives him information that he can use when he has to make critical decisions. Or like I said earlier, maybe he or Fiona could choose between different items to use in an action scene so that there's a little bit more variety there. Again, I think that the references, the tie-ins with Borderlands is good. It doesn't dominate the plot so much, and that's kind of good because then we're given a sort of fresh plotline that we can be excited about and we can make our own authentic decisions. We're not trying to just make them because it's supposed to be this way in the Borderlands universe. This is the first of probably 5 episodes, at least for the first season, and I would hope to see this continue the way it is. We'll be covering the rest of Tales from the Borderlands here on Gamers Nexus. Be sure to check out our videos to be released upon each episode, and be sure to check out our written review for Zer0. All right, guys, thanks a lot.